Hey guys, welcome back to A Game with Chums podcast. I am your host for today's episode, the glorious, wonderful Paulus. And and joining me as always is my I don't know,
co-host,
pink wearing. Is that Kingdom Hearts shirt? I don't know.
Kingdom Hearts.
It's
Have you ever known me to like Kingdom Hearts?
It's it's a illustrated T-shirt, but his name is Mr. Ross. Mr. Ross, you're looking fabuloso.
As always, I thank you.
Yeah, good. So I'm
in fact, a Final Fantasy 14 Hades T-shirt.
Sorry, man. Like, our cameras are so shit. It's like they don't even though they're 1080, our cameras are rubbish. So I can't really make it out.
They've done it like a metal band logo, so it's kind of hard to read anyway.
Okay, but yeah. So I'm gonna say the same thing I say to you every week. Well, we say to each other. What you've been up to, man? What you've been playing? What have you been watching? What have you been eating? You know, like how the fuck are you?
I've been doing the same thing I do every night, Pinky, trying to take over the world.
And how's that going for you?
Poorly, surprisingly.
Okay.
But actually, that's probably a poor joke at the moment, isn't it? Considering what's going on.
Yeah.
I didn't think that one through at all.
No.
Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
What have I been doing? Just the usual stuff. I've been playing Diablo 2. Actually, surprisingly, got a weird craving to play Diablo 3 like last weekend, I think. And I was like, I'm going to go and reinstall it on my Xbox. So I went upstairs and I was like, I don't own it on Xbox. And then I remembered I bought it on PS4 because Dan said he wanted to co-op it at the time. And then he never bought it. So that went well. So yeah, I bought it on PS4 and I don't own a PS4 anymore because I gave it to my brother when the new consoles came out. And obviously I don't own a PS5 yet. So I was kind of shit out of luck. So I went on CD Keys and they had a bundle for Diablo 2 Resurrected, the remaster that came out recently, and Diablo 3 for like 28 quid. So I thought, that'll do. I never played Diablo 2, so I thought I'd start with that one. And yeah, having fun with it. It's a really good remaster. Just a bit of dark gothic dungeon crawling and looting and monster killing. It's good fun. So I've been playing a bit of that. I've been playing a little bit of Chorus, which is came out last year. It's like a space combat game with some kind of like superhero powers almost. Like you've got like teleports and you can drift in space, which is weird but kind of cool. So I've played a few hours of that. That's good fun too. Quite enjoying that. I think I said last time that I'd caught up and finished Demon Slayer Season 2, which was very, very good, but it's like a constant adrenaline shot to the heart, that show. So I needed something chill afterwards. So I started watching Restaurant to Another World, which is very, very chill. Complete opposite of Demon Slayer. And I'm only like 3 or 4 episodes in, but I'm quite enjoying that. It's just very laid back and it's just like people from another world going into a restaurant from this world and having a lovely meal.
It's very relaxing. So it's an isekai then. It's an isekai. It's an isekai. It's an isekai.
Yeah. It is, but it's not like character gets reincarnated into another world and goes on adventures. It's just like every 7 days a door opens in this restaurant and it leads to another world, and then people from that other world come in and have a lovely meal. That's basically it. So yeah, it's isekai, but it's very sort of like fringe of the genre. It's just very chill and relaxing, and I'm quite enjoying it. And it makes me hungry every time I watch it. It's like, oh, he's got a fucking beef bowl. I want a beef bowl. Stupid fucking elf. But yeah, it's good. I'm enjoying it. But other than that, not been up to much really. Just reading some recent reviews that have come out, which we'll get onto in the news section, which has been quite exciting. Other than that, that's about it. What about you? What have you been doing with your time?
Apart from going to work, not too much. I went to Eat Tokyo on Monday, and
there it's so long.
it's in Soho now, so you got to queue up. for like a minimum of 20 minutes, and I queued up outside for about 30 minutes. I never get the idea of queuing like outside for a restaurant. I never did it, but I had to do it because I was with someone.
I remember the time we took my brother there, and he was like, "Why are people queuing? It's just food. Let's leave." And we're like, "It's really good food, though."
It's good. It is good, but sometimes I'm just thinking I can't be bothered to queue for like in the cold for like an hour for 30 minutes to sit down and then eat and then get kicked out again. It's just like then you can't really sit there and take your time anymore. It seems like you gotta just eat and get out. You know what I mean? Because you got more customers. But yeah, I went there on Monday, had a good time. I drank a lot of sake, and what I've been playing, I haven't been playing too much, just on stream really. Nothing really on my free time. Wherever I play anything, it's always on Twitch. So I've been playing Dragon Age 2, been working through that. I try and manage my time because I try to give myself a schedule on the weekends. So I play something in the afternoon, take a break for a couple of hours, and then play another game in the evening. So I'm sort of rotating my evening games. I like Dragon Age 2 or Mass Effect 3, which I'm getting through. In the daytime, it's normally either Apex or which I started a new game, Yakuza 3, because that's on Game Pass. I was actually going to do a video on it, but then I realized that Yakuza 3 opening is so fucking boring. So I was thinking, I can't use this. It's so slow and boring. So I was just like,
it's very slow at the beginning.
So I was like, I can't use that. But yeah, I've been. I'm it kind of put me off, but I guess it does get better. Like later on, once you get off the bloody island and head back into to Camarocho. So I'm going to stream it, but I did want to make a quick look video or a game exploring Game Pass video, but I was like, I can't use it. It's so boring. But what I've been watching, finished the book of Boba Fett. It's mid. It's kind of middling. It's not great. It's not bad. It's just okay. I know a lot of people. I don't know if you watched The Mandalorian. Kind of like it became like The Mandalorian season 2.5. You know, it focused a lot more on The Mandalorian. So like poor Boba got sidelined in his own shows. That was good. But
yeah, I've been waiting till it finishes airing so I can just sign up for 1 month of Disney Plus. So I'll probably do that soon, just to watch it through.
Yeah. So but other than that, not much anime. I've caught up with Attack on Titan. It's kind of slowed down now. I don't know if you haven't watched anything yet, so I don't want to say anything. So I don't know spoilers.
Yeah, I'm going to start catching up on that probably tomorrow.
Been continuing watching My Dress Up Darling, which is like a really sort of fun, sort of slice of life romantic comedy, which is always good. I always like those sort of things. But I do like the main character, the main female character.
I've noticed a lot of cosplay of her on Twitter.
Yeah,
recently.
She's good because she's an was it the word urage? And she's kind of like perverted. She likes hentai games and cosplaying. So that kind of like, especially in the otaku community, that's kind of like endearing. But yeah, other than that, just been enjoying my Saturday, which is the day we're recording this, drinking a nice ice cold Heineken, put it in the freezer, and it tastes effing fantastic. So yeah,
regaling me with tales of how fantastic your beer was before we started recording.
It's nice. I was like, I'm not a great fan of Heineken. I think it's okay beer. It's like
fine.
So fine. If I had a choice, I have this or Foster's, I'll choose Heineken all day.
Yeah, but that's no choice.
In a freezer, if you put your beer in a freezer, it just to the point where before it freezes over,
slightly elevates it.
It puts it up there.
Also, I recognise that pint glass.
Yeah, the audio listeners, like it's the Bromley Beer and Cider Festival, which is held in Beckenham, which me and Roz went to about 4 or 5 years ago, I think.
It's a fair while ago now.
Yeah, it should have the date on there.
Got righteously shit-faced.
Oh hell yeah, yeah. We got really drunk. I quite enjoyed it. I never really into these sort of beer festival things because it's mostly like a bunch of old men who go there and
to drink real ale.
to drink the real ale. I do like the fact that they brew all their ales. It's like really, it's all like home brew stuff and it's like unique tastes and stuff like that. It's nothing, no big.
You're not going to get a pint of Carling there.
No, it's all good. So yeah, I've been doing that. So yeah, but anyway, let's move on to game news, Mr. Roars. What has been happening in the beautiful world of gaming?
Well, there have been no big acquisitions since our last podcast, which was focused on big acquisitions. So possibly a good thing that maybe things have slowed down a bit. Tencent did acquire Inflection Games, which I'd imagine a lot of people probably haven't even heard of, which, if I recall, is like some ex-BioWare people started that up. And they're making a game called Nightingale. I saw this headline the other day, like it happened like 2 or 3 days ago as of recording, I think. It was like Tencent acquire Inflection Games, and I was like genuinely like, who? And they were like making the game Nightingale, and I was like, no, it doesn't ring a bell. And I started watching the trailer. I got halfway through the trailer. I was like, wait, I have seen this before. So I think they're making sort of like a sort of fantasy anthem kind of thing. It's like in a fantasy world, but it's like a shared world thing. So it's probably why I didn't give a shit when they announced it. But yeah, other than that, no big acquisitions, which is possibly a good thing. But there have been 2 big new releases out in the last week, pretty much. Horizon Forbidden West came out. Good reviews, sitting on an 88 Metacritic, which I think is pretty much the same as the first one. I think that was like 88 or 89 as well. And literally a week later, Elden Ring comes out and gets a 97 Metacritic. So people are going absolutely nuts over Elden Ring, which I think anyone could have predicted anyway, because From Software games always do well.
It's weird, like that's like From Software games. Oh god, I don't really want to say it. They kind of release the same game. Really, it is kind of like the same formula all the time, but it always gets. They do it so well; it gets such high reviews. But it is pretty much the same game. Like, what was their first Oh no! Like the first mainstream one was probably Demon Souls, or maybe
Probably
Dark
Dark Souls, because
Souls.
Demon Souls
Kind of came out and no one really gave a shit.
Well, it was a big thing in the import scene when Demon Souls came out, and I think they weren't originally going to release it here, and people that picked it up on import kind of kicked up a fuss about it, and then it became a bit of a cult hit, and then Dark Souls is when it really took off. Dark Souls is the only one of these kind of games of theirs that I've played, and I played maybe half of it, and I had fun, but I just got bored eventually. And I've been watching some Elden Ring streams, and I'm like, it looks like open world Dark Souls. Like a lot of the animations and everything look the same. Just like it looks like the same.
Careful now, man. That game got a 97.
Yeah, I mean,
Metacritic.
I'm sure it's amazing, but their games just aren't really for me.
Well, it's I've heard it's like a cross between obviously Dark Souls and Breath of the Wild, because now you can traverse on a horse and open world and all that. That's what I've heard. Yeah, I've never really been into the sort of like From Software games. I've only played like like Dark Souls for a bit. I haven't played Bloodborne because obviously that came out on PS4. Even though I own a PS4, I sort of didn't get it just because they money hatted that game, I think.
It was, the IP is owned by Sony, so I think it's one of those scenarios where they basically co-developed it. Like Japan Studio did some work on it, but they own it, so I think it was always a Sony-owned property. So that one's fair enough, I think. But yeah, I have Bloodborne. I just never got around to it, and if they stick it on PC, I'll try it because the setting seems interesting.
It's like it sort of with Dark Souls. They became a new trend of like Dark Souls-esque, Bloodborne-esque games that came out. Souls-like game, or Soulsborne game, like like there are a lot of copy games that came out, which is I know, like if something's successful, why not try and replicate the formula? But yeah, it's not really for me, so I don't really
Story
get it.
as old as time.
I don't really. Um, I don't know. Like, I kind of wanted to play it because I kind of like the setting, and I watched some trailers, but I'm like, it is just Dark Souls, but open world, and I was just like, is that? Am I really want to get there? If it came out on Game Pass, obviously I'll try it, but I was like, do I really want to put down X amount of money and I'll play it for a bit and then not enjoy it or give up on it, or maybe I would, mate. I don't know. Everyone says that, they go, you've got to give it a try. Once you give it a try, get over it, the initial difficulty, and you get into it and you get into the world and you sort of enjoying it more. So maybe I should do it, but there's been a lot of these games and I've not really got into them.
That didn't happen for me with Dark Souls. I bought the first Dark Souls because I remember, because I was like posting on forums quite frequently around the time when Demon Souls was getting a lot of chatter, so I was kind of intrigued by it.
Mm-hmm.
But when it finally came out in the West, I didn't get it. And then when Dark Souls came out, I thought, I'm going to try this one.
Mm-hmm.
I pre-ordered it. I've got like the day one edition that came with a free art book and everything. I think I played about 10 hours on the 360 version. And I was like, I kind of get it, but I'm just kind of getting a bit bored of just like inching forward a bit further every time.
I think it's more for the boss battles, though. The boss battles are supposed to be extremely good and challenging and inventive. So that's what I think. Like most people
boss battles
like it
are
for.
good, yeah. But it's the world design. I mean, obviously, I can only speak of Dark Souls 1, but the world design is really good as well. It's like a little puzzle box. You push forward, and then you kind of unlock these sort of shortcuts back to where you were before that make your next run a bit faster and stuff. And it feels like a very cohesive, well-designed world. But it's just there's basically no story in it unless you really, really go looking for it. And it's like a lot of it's in like item descriptions and stuff like that. And so unless you're going to push on just for the sort of challenge of getting a bit further, after a while I just got a bit bored of it. I rebought it on PC when they put it on PC. I think I played like an hour of that, and then I rebought the PC remastered version like last year, I think. And I was like, right, this time I'm going to really get through it. And I got about halfway through it. I think I was about halfway anyway. For anyone that knows Dark Souls, I was in a forest area above the waterfall where you fight the Hydra, having come back from Anor Londo. And I was just like, I've enjoyed it, but it's kind of dragging a bit now, and I'm just starting to get a bit bored, and I just stopped playing it. So I think these games just aren't really for me. I just kind of get bored and drift away after a while.
To be honest, I thought maybe I should get it and do maybe like a video on it or a or live stream it, just because it's the big thing, and then you get probably like might get a few more eyes on the videos. But I don't know, like with these sort of games, when these new releases, especially like the big anticipated games, if we're not interested, we don't tend to buy it because we don't get codes or nothing like that, like other like influencers or YouTubers or nothing like that. So we got to pay for it.
You have to spend 60 quid for it.
Yeah. So do you know what I mean? Like people are in a position to get these things sent to them for free, these games, but we don't do that. So it has to be like we have to be interested in it to buy it. Like
if we got sent a code, I'd play it.
Yeah, of course we would. Yeah, and make
just like as you said, if it was on Game Pass, I'd play it and check it out.
But like unfortunately we got to sort of buy these things with our own like money, and if we're not going to enjoy it, then it's sort of like an investment that we're not going to get anything out of.
It's a bit of a hard ask.
Yeah. So, but yeah, man. Anything else in the world of gaming? Just those two. We didn't talk about Horizon Forbidden West. Like we sort of glossed over that.
We did, yeah. But I also wanted to mention, like, because this happened with the first Horizon Zero Dawn, that came out and it got good reviews. Like I said, I think that was like 88, 89, somewhere around there. And then literally like days later, Breath of the Wild came out and everyone kind of forgot about Horizon. And then this time Forbidden West comes out, and then like a week later Elden Ring comes out and kind of blows it away. So that series can't catch a break. But Forbidden West looks really good. Yeah, it's got good reviews. Seems like a good sequel.
Wow. Okay.
I mean, neither of us have a PS5, so Obviously,
No.
it's cross-gen, so it is on PS4 still as well. But I don't have a PS4 anymore, so I can't play it at all. You have a PS4, but are you interested in playing it at any point?
I played the first one, but then again, I don't know. I don't know. Like, I know, like, PlayStation have got that Project Spartacus that they're going to release. I don't think it's like a Game Pass. Apparently, like, it's like try a few hours of the game, then buy the full
Yeah,
game
it sounds
at
like
full
it's going to be
price.
more like EA Access or EA
Yeah,
Play as it's called now.
yeah. Like, you just they allow you to play like 5 hours, and if you like it, you can buy it at full price. So I don't know. Like, I don't think PlayStation will go down the Game Pass route where you're allowed to play the whole game for for free, pretty much. I don't think they'll do that.
Yeah,
It's
not new releases anyway.
yeah. So yeah, man. Anyway, I think that's enough. I think that's all of the gaming news. Nothing else apart from the big news. What have you pointed at? What more?
There's one more thing.
Oh, please do tell. Don't keep me in
Steam Deck
suspense.
reviews.
Steam
Deck reviews came out.
Yeah. See,
And they seem broadly positive.
before we start recording this podcast, we go over the gaming news now, and yeah, I completely forgot that we actually mentioned it in the pre-chat. But yeah,
As of recording this, Steam Deck reviews came out yesterday, Friday the 25th of February, and I think that's when the first sort of wave of pre-orders went live. So I think people have been able to complete their purchases and get their orders in. But seems broadly positive. It seems like the software side of things is kind of coming in a bit hot. There seems to be quite a lot of issues at the moment. But from what I've read, it sounds like Valve were basically like patching stuff every day over the last sort of week in the review period. So like people were saying, like, even like the day before my review went live, new features were getting patched in and stuff like that. In the week, they put up a page, store.steampowered.com/Steam Deck/my games, and you sign into that, and it tells you which of your games are verified, playable, and unsupported. And I looked at it. I think it was Wednesday, maybe when the page went up, and I looked at it, and like 15 games of mine had been verified. 12 were playable with issues, and then like another 11 were unsupported, and then all the rest of my games are untested. So I was like, oh, that's a great start. And they've been adding to it, so more games I wanted to play on it are now in the unsupported category, which sucks. Clanad, I have Clanad in my Steam library, and I was like, that would be really good to play on the Steam Deck. Nope, unsupported. The Trails in the Sky games, which I've been thinking, like, literally when the Steam Deck was announced, I was like, oh, this would be really good for like old JRPGs and stuff, like the Trails in the Sky games. Nope, they're not supported, so
fuck.
I think I'm going to be installing Windows on this thing.
Yeah.
The games I actually want to play on it aren't getting supported.
Yeah.
But in the supported list, though, is Horizon Zero Dawn, which I played the original on PS4, and then I bought the PC version on Steam like last month or so for like £8. So that would be pretty cool to play on there. Paradise Killer is on there as well, so I can play that. Danganronpa 2, but not Danganronpa 1. But yeah, it's very weird. But I think at some point I'm probably going to be installing Windows on mine just to be able to play my games, because I'm quite disappointed so far with what's verified and what's not. And as I say, the reviews are broadly positive, but they are all coming from kind of a PC mindset where people are used to tinkering a bit. So they're like, yeah, it's great. You're going to have to tinker a bit, but it's excellent. And that's fine with me. But like a friend of mine who does not play on PC has pre-ordered one on the promise of it being very console-like, because he wants to play some of the JRPGs that tend to skip Xbox. And it's looking like they're not going to be supported. So that's going to be a bit of a shit show for people that wanted it for that kind of functionality. I think that's going to be a bit troublesome.
Yeah.
But if you're a PC gamer, it looks like it's fantastic.
Cool, man. Cool. All right, we're going to move on from this because like we want to make the news sections a bit more snappier. So shut the fuck up and let's move on to
Wow. Why do I even turn up for these things?
I should just do this.
I tried to bring nuanced discussion about the Fortnite in game.
See, dude, this is where you're going wrong. People don't want to hear words like nuance. They don't know what it means. I'm kidding, but anyway, yeah.
Wow, insulting our audience now.
Like, listen, man. I was not going to get. I'm not going to get a Steam Deck. I've never really been. I like what I like, and I knows what I knows. With new things like that, tends to scare me. Like, we've had it before, like Stadia, the Onya, or what the hell it was called before. Ouya. They kind of just came and just burnt, and I don't want to waste my hard-earned cash on the unknown. I know what I likes, and I likes what I like. So yeah.
Yes, I have seen that sentiment from people. Like, oh, if Steam OS doesn't take off and they can't get the games playable, you've wasted your money. I'm like, well, yeah, but I was already kind of leaning to the idea that I'll install Windows on it anyway. Install Windows on it, it's just a Windows PC. It'll play all your games. So that's probably what I'm going to do.
Yeah, well, you can just, use your laptop.
Well, I do use my laptop, but I can't take my laptop to bed with me.
Why not?
It's too big.
To have it rested on your chest or something.
It's quite a big. It's a 17-inch laptop, man.
Well, how big
Instead, I can have a Steam Deck.
How big is my laptop? About 17 inches as well, I think.
I have no idea.
Yeah, I think it is.
I can't see your laptop. I can only see the view through your camera.
Well, I'm recording this on my PC, and I don't really want to move, because after I'm done here with you, I'm gonna go stream on Twitch. So I use my laptop for that. But anyway, Mr. Ross, what is our main topic for today? Our main topic is, why am I asking a question? I'm the presenter. Our main topic is Halo, more specifically Halo Infinite. We were talking about doing a spoiler cast for Halo, but we just had to wait for me to finish it, and I did manage to finish it about a week ago. I think it was about a week ago. But obviously we record these podcasts like in 2-week blocks. We don't record it every week. But yeah, we're going to talk about it, man. So let's start with, before we get into spoilers, let's start with your first impression. What is your first impression? Because it got pretty good reviews. Like Metacritic score is in the 80s, I think. I think
it was somewhere like 87, I want to say. Maybe 86. But yeah, it reviewed well, and people tended to think, 87.
Yeah, that's good.
Which is higher than Halo 5, which I think was 84. But it did review very well. People generally liked the campaign. I think people were appreciative that there was more to do, because obviously, like, Halo has always been a linear first-person shooter. You play the campaign like 8-10 hours and you're done, and then you move on to multiplayer. And they've massively expanded it now. Obviously, it's open world in a sense. There's a lot more stuff to do. Like, you might call it busy work, whatever. But there's more stuff to do there. And I will say, like, probably the closest analog to it is Far Cry.
Yeah, yeah.
Like an open world.
Yeah.
FPS.
It sort of follows that sort of formula of a Far Cry game, especially the since Far Cry 3. I think it sort of follows that sort of blueprint, which is not a bad thing. I mean, people like Far Cry, and I think Far Cry 3 was an excellent game. So it's no bad thing about that. It is a departure from the previous Halo games, where it's very linear. This is more like, if you can attack a base, a stronghold. If it's too much for you, you can just bugger off and just leave it for a bit and then come back. So that's all good, man. I really enjoyed the game. I think the addition of the grappling hook really, I think a lot of people's first reaction to Halo Infinite was the grappling hook, which made traversing much more fun. It's a good it's a good offensive and defensive tool to use. So it sort of changes up the gameplay, the style of game, which something so simple like a grappling hook can change the game for you. I really found it really good, and especially with the upgrade system you can do. Obviously, I put all my Spartan cores, which are the upgrade points, into the grappling hook, and had that maxed out, and it's so good, like Master Chief, Spider-Man sort of thing, just swinging around, But
Yeah,
yeah,
it's good. You can upgrade it so the cooldown is shorter, which you should do as soon as possible because you're going to want to use it all the time.
yeah,
You can upgrade, and then another upgrade electrocutes it. So if you hit an enemy with it, they start going frozen in place. And then I think it's the final upgrade you can do if you hold down the melee button while you're grappling towards someone or something. Then you do basically a super punch at it, which is for a lot of enemies like a one-hit kill. Which is, once I unlock that, I use that all the time.
It's like an AOE, an area of effect. It affects the other enemies around you as well.
Yeah, I think that's the final upgrade, actually, isn't it? You unlock the actual ground pound before that, and then the final upgrade adds an AOE effect to it. But yeah, you have, how much equipment do you have? You get the grapple shot, you get the shield, you get the sensor,
booster,
thruster,
whatever. There's another one. You get to upgrade your shield, and you get to upgrade.
You
get to upgrade your own shields. Well.
Yeah, which doesn't feel like it does much at all if you're playing on heroic or higher, because you still get absolutely shredded. Especially later in the game. But yeah, like, to go back to the Far Cry comparison, I generally don't enjoy Far Cry all that much. I played half of Far Cry 3. I did the first island and beat Vast, and I was like, okay, that's enough. I'm kind of bored now. And so I get people's kind of hesitance when they see, like, oh, it's going to be one of those open world Sea of Icon games. And it kind of is, but it also kind of isn't. They're quite relaxed on the icon hunt stuff. Like, there's other bases to attack. There's collectibles to find and stuff like that. But it's not like you don't open the map and it's just covered in icons. There's like a decent handful of stuff to do, but they don't go overboard on it. But the fact is, the other things like the banished strongholds and stuff like that, and the freeing groups of Marines, what they really give you is just another excuse to get into Halo combat. And the combat is why I like Halo, because there's no other FPS that feels like Halo. So just to have more time in a campaign, to actually spend more time just fighting and using the Halo sandbox. Because obviously in the older Halo games, you move through a level and the level's done. You can't just like hang around or go somewhere else to try something else. But in this, you can. You've got this open world. You've got a bunch of different things. You've got different elevations, because the map is like ridiculously vertical. You can get up really damn high in some places on the map, especially with the grapple shot. You can get up to stupid elevations and snipe people down below you and stuff like that. I think they said before release that their kind of touchstone was Halo CE, so they wanted to make, if Halo CE was made today, what would it be like? And I think they kind of nailed that. It feels very combat evolved, but a 2021 open world game as well.
Yeah, I agree. But like it's like you can find, it's a big Halo. They want you to try all the weapons and the various ways of taking down a certain base. What's the thing? Fobs take over those. They do just want you to try various ways. Like, you can go in there sneak. You can go in there all guns blazing. You can go in there sniping. And like, you got your high value targets as well that you can go after, which presents it a much challenge. But the one thing
some of which are very hard,
they're very difficult. But the one thing I will say about Halo Infinite is the boss battles. People complain that Halo didn't have good boss battle encounters ever since probably maybe, I think the last good one was maybe Halo 2 when you fight Tartarus at the end. I thought that was the last good one, but Halo Infinite has ramped it up. There's a lot of boss battles, and some of them are an absolute pain in the goddamn arse, I have to say.
Some of them are very hard.
Very difficult. And I even like the sort of like a mid-level boss or boss encounters. For example, there was one where you're down in a Forerunner complex. You enter a room, they lock the door behind you, and you just get two elites, invisible elites with energy sources charging at you, and you just have to use whatever you can to sort of like, even if you use like the tracker which discloses their location where they are, it's still difficult because it's someone that they charge at you, and the elites are like bloody Halo Reach but on steroids. They're like so bloody agile, flipping, jumping over you and stuff, and cartwheeling away. It's so annoying. I was just like, this is not actually a boss encounter. This is just like two really hard enemies, and you're just trapped in there. And if you got not sort of like some good weapons on you, it made it very challenging. But yeah, I enjoyed the boss encounters. The bosses in Halo Infinite are very fun and very challenging, especially when you go up against the Spartan killers, as they're called. And there's that one part where you go up against two at the same time. But if you try and take
brutes.
If you try and take them on together, you're going to get destroyed. You got to sort of ice. They don't attack you all together. They're on the map, but they kind of like are separated, so you can sort of take them out one at a time.
One of them's basically standing on a tower in the middle of the area, and then the other one's on a brute chopper, sort of roaming around. So you can kind of isolate them a little bit, but it's tough because the other one's still bombarding you with stuff while you're trying to isolate them. But yeah, that boss encounter took me a while to get through.
Now, can I just say the one boss encounter that really sort of got to me is when it's near the end, but you're on the proving grounds, and you make your way through each of these training grounds. It's used to break Spartans, and it's also used to like train the what are they called, not boundless.
Banished.
The banished like soldiers to fight like Spartans. And there's where at the last one you fight an elite, and he's a Spartan killer. But that bit where you're just trapped in this complex with him, he's shielded. He's got a powerful energy weapon, and the aesthetic of it, because it was all red, sort of like, and there was like that human sort of recording playing about like this family, sort of like really creeped me out. I was like, what the hell's going on here? It took me a while to figure out that it was playing from an audio like device. I was like, where's this coming from? And I was like, oh right, it's on the floor. And then you play it, and then obviously it's some message to someone's it's a message between this human family. And then you encounter that boss. He was not too difficult, to be honest, but I did like that sort of build up to it. And I thought that was really good.
Yeah, the boss you're talking about is Jaeger.
See, that's why I like you, Roz. That's why I like you. You know all these names, man.
Yeah, just the third to last boss in the game. You're trapped on a piece of a ship, basically. So it's quite close quarters. He's cloaked. He's got a sword. He comes out of nowhere, so you have to really use the signal tracker thing quite a lot in that one. But yeah, that was tough. But yeah, I think they did well with the enemy variety, because I think a lot of people were worried before the game came out that the enemy variety wasn't going to be great because it's just the banished. Obviously there's the new enemies, which we'll get to, but of them really there's only one class, the skimmers. So I think people were a bit worried it was going to be a bit light on enemy variety, but even within the banished there's a ton of variety. There's like 3 or 4 different types of brute. There's like 3 or 4 different types of elites. You've got jackals and skirmishers. They do a lot with. They take the archetypes of Halo and then they kind of break them down into kind of subcategories in a lot of ways, like the charging brutes and stuff like that.
Yeah, they also have the oh bloody hell, what they call the monitors of each
sentinels.
Yeah, they got, and what's the
monitor is that's another boss fight, isn't it?
Yeah, and you fight him about 3 times. He's quite funny when you fight him, and he keeps getting like more and more armored up. I was like, oh great.
Those are actually really good boss battles.
Yeah, they were fun.
Really good fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, they I think they just did a really good job with the whole sandbox of it. Like it feels fantastic to play. Um, Halo is kind of the only FPS I play because it's kind of the only one really. Obviously, there are others, but like it's the main big one that you don't have to ADS all the time. Like obviously you can scoped weapons for a zoom, but like I really don't like ADS FPS games like Call of Duty and stuff because you can barely shoot unless you're aiming down sights. You might as well not bother. Halo, your aiming is exactly the same no matter what you're doing. If you're soaring through the air, having used the grapple shot, you're 100 feet up in the air, you can still snipe someone on the ground without zooming in and stuff like that. And with the pace Infinite moves at because of the new stuff like the grapple shot, it just feels so good just zooming around and just popping off headshots all over the place. And combine that with some really dynamic enemies. I think the enemies are the best they've ever felt, and that kind of feels like a big statement when you're talking about Halo. Like Halo's enemy AI has always been kind of one of its selling points in a way, and I think they're the best they've ever been in this, honestly. But one thing
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you about is what you think of the weapon sandbox, because there are some weapons in there I'm not massively fond of.
To be honest, I tended to stick to these sort of human weapons, which I kind of like. They're more familiar, but um, when later on when you fight the Sentinels, I find having the energy, the beam sort of not the beam cannon, but you know their weapons.
Sentinel beam.
Sentinel beam is the easiest, is the best to use to fight Sentinels. It sort of kills them quite quickly. So yeah, but I kind of like, yeah, I kind of stuck to the more the. I didn't really use any of the. Didn't use any of the. I want to say Covenant, but the the Unbounded, whatever the fuck they're called.
Banished.
I keep forgetting that. Banished. I didn't tend to use their weapons. I tend to use the human weapons a lot. That's because I think they're the best ones, to be honest with you. The new enemies, what are they called, from what race are they? Boundless,
The
the
Endless.
oh god, yeah, the endless. That's the thing, like with Halo, they're always these like these new types of these new types of enemies that they call the. I mean, like in Halo 4 and 5, you had the what were they called again?
The
The
Prometheans.
Prometheans, and yeah, you had them coming on, and they sort of disappeared. The things I want to talk about like more is like the story of it, because obviously that's what we're here. We're just going to talk about more of the spoilers. And what did you think of the overall story? Because let's just say something like, I found it was a kind of like a disconnect from Halo 4, 5 to Halo Infinite. It kind of felt like we were missing something. That's what I felt when I was playing it. It just sort of like it. Like the end of Halo 5, they get the Guardians, and now they're going to go to each planet, and like Halo, Cortana's going to like sort of wipe out or make the planets submit to them. With this, we've sort of taken Cortana out, but obviously I don't know, it just seemed like she seemed quite OP in the end of Halo 5, and it's sort of like they sort of brushed her under the carpet and just got rid of that threat. And I was like, oh, okay. But they do talk about it in audio logs and stuff like that. But
It's in more than the audio logs. It is peppered throughout the whole
yeah,
main
but
story as
it's
well.
not. I don't know. It just felt like we had this big threat, and now that got sort of done with. Off. You didn't get to play that bit, and just like, oh, that's all done with, and now we got this new threat, and I was like, oh, okay, that's sort of taken care of, but you didn't get to experience it. You just had to sort some flashbacks and some audio and some video, and it was just like, oh, okay, that's that done. Now we got to deal with this. So, but like, how did you feel like they
I
dealt
think
with it?
that's I think that's a legitimate way to feel about it, because there is a disconnect there, but I think it's their hands were kind of tied a bit in how Halo 5 was received. And in terms of like writing and everything, this is like a whole new team, so they're kind of having to deal with what what the previous writing team did with Halo 5 that was not well received. Like the lead writer of Halo 5 left after Halo 5. And I think he was like a writer for Marvel before that, Marvel Comics. And I remember people saying, oh, so Paul Crocker, who was one of the narrative leads on the Arkham games at Rocksteady. Obviously, he came in and he had to kind of deal with the fallout of people not really liking Halo 5's narrative direction. And with the game being a spirit partnership on a strange alien ring with some kind of mystery and threat to unfold. And I think they succeeded there because that's basically what Halo Infinite is, but they needed to kind of reset to get there. So the whole created arc kind of gets brushed under the carpet to a degree, but I think for me personally, they did enough in the kind of Cortana flashbacks for me to go, okay, yeah, that's put to bed now. It's time for a new story. And there's some huge shit in there. Like you see like moments between Cortana and Atriox, the leader of the Banished, and you find out that she used the Guardians to destroy the Brute's homeworld, which was like, fucking hell, Cortana. That's some next level shit right there. But considering what they had to do, I think they handled it well. They passed off the last arc, and they started a new one. And I'm actually quite excited for the new arc because I want to know the whole mystery. What did you think of them? Obviously, you said you're a bit negative about the way they brushed the previous arc under the carpet. What do you think about the setup for the next arc?
Well, yeah, another unknown alien species we have to deal with. So, kind of like it's not a negative, but I'm just like, well, it's kind of like this there's this alien race that's come out of nowhere. I know, like the Forerunners are ancient, so they're bound to have made loads of enemies beforehand. But the Flood is the kind of the ultimate baddie. Now there's this the boundless. They've come back from nowhere, and now I'm just like, okay, the chief has got to deal with them, and he's got to deal with them the only way he knows how, and just shoot them. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's just I'm gonna like just say a few criticisms of the game, which is not like negative in terms of like the quality. It's just I kind of wish that we got to explore something different from what we got, because it was very much overground. Like you explored the top side of the ring, then you went underground to explore the Forerunner facilities. But I kind of wanted, like, because I know they've done this in the Halo CE. We didn't get to go on board and take out any of the ships that were. You see them in above you. I was like, I really thought we was gonna like get aboard one of those ships and fight on the on one of on the ships, which I kind of feel like they was a missed opportunity. Because you look above, and I think there was like about a dozen or so ships. I was like, and I was thinking when I was playing, I was like, oh, okay, we're definitely going to go on one of these ships. We're going to have to board it. There's going to be a mission on there. We're going to have to rescue someone or get some information and take out one of those capital ships. But we never got to go on them, which is kind of like a missed opportunity. I don't know if they're going to like introduce a bit of DLC or something like that, and maybe we'll get to go on it on that way. Or if we make our escape from the ring, we use one of their ships. But I kind of was disappointed that we didn't get to go aboard an alien ship and sort of like just do a mission there, because I think pretty much every other Halo game there was, especially the original trilogy and Halo Reach, we did go on board one of the spaceships, but we didn't do it here. So I kind of wish they did do that.
Well, the first mission is on a brute ship, the first mission.
That's
I
true.
know,
But
I get what you mean.
I know that you were on that the brute ship, and can I just say that in Halo 4 and 5, I was like, hey, humanity, the Alliance, is getting its shit together. We're sort of like we're training, where our technology's better. We got this big ship, the Infinite. We got all these Spartans. I was like, hey, man, we got all these Spartans, and things are
Things are going really
yeah.
well.
And then like you just find out we just get wiped out by the what the hell?
Banished.
I keep forgetting. I keep want to say Boundless. Banished have just come back, which they made their first appearance in Halo Wars 2, which they didn't just come out of nowhere. They were set up beforehand and pretty powerful.
Set up really well as well,
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah. So
when people found out the Banished were going to be the main enemies in Infinite, pretty much anyone that played Halo Wars 2 was like, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Because they were set up very well in that game.
Mm-hmm. But it's kind of like what was I saying? Yeah, I kind of wish there was a slight variation in where we fought. Like it was kind of like the same. Like if you wanted to progress the story, you had to go into the facilities, so they all look kind of samey. And obviously, like the overground was the open world where you get to take out enemy bases. But there were don't get me wrong, there were some really good encounters and stuff, especially where you you go to that place where they're drilling to get down to into a complex. I thought that was really good. You get to fight around that big bloody like drilling machine, which I thought was quite good. And I like to say, like, some of those encounters, even like the basic encounters, can be really challenging because the enemies can swarm at you, and they get reinforcements. And yeah, some of those fights, even the basic ones, were quite challenging. I did die in several of those counters, so I had to change tactic, which I thought was quite good. I was like, I can't use this tactic because it's not working, so I've got to sort of switch up my tactics and think of something different and try something else, because obviously I can't really go and brute force it, which I thought was quite good. Like I said, man, like it was really good fun in there. But let's let's talk about something else. Like, I want to delve more into like the story and the characters. And there was obviously a new character there, a new character called Weapon, which is your new AI companion, which is kind of let's get it over with. It's a spoiler. Obviously,
this is a spoiler cast, so
she's a clone of Cortana, which, if anyone's ever played Halo before, as soon as you get her, you're like, this is Cortana. This is a copy of Cortana, but just like an infant version of Cortana, like a clean slate.
Young, naive version.
Yeah. I found her endearing, and like her personality was quite similar to Cortana's, but is more of like a childlike version. And hopefully they've got rid of the rampancy issue that doomed Cortana. Hopefully they've got worked out that flaw, but I don't know if they have, because a lot of the main characters from the 4 and 5 are not in the game in person, only in audio logs. So you got to find, if you want to find a lot of the story, you got to find these audio logs to sort of patch together everything that's happened. But yeah, I think she's a good addition. I was kind of wondering how they're going to deal with the fact that Cortana's chief's enemy and she's no longer going to be inside his head, but obviously they worked around that by just saying, oh, we've got a copy of Cortana.
Honestly, I think that's another reason why they don't have you confront Cortana in this game, because I think a lot of fans wouldn't have been happy about it. Because like in Halo 5, obviously there are odds, but they don't actually come into conflict, really. It's like right at the very end of the game, really, where Chief kind of accepts she's lost.
Mm-hmm.
He never really like raises a weapon towards her. And then at the end of Halo 5, obviously spoilers for Halo 5, but hey, if you listen to a spoiler cast for Halo Infinite, you probably know what's going on in Halo 5. She tries to imprison him in a cryptum to preserve him until her galactic will has been enacted. but they never really come to blows. And then that was what people were expecting for the next Halo, and Halo has always been Chief and Cortana, like right from the off. So I think there would have been a lot of fans that would have been like, I don't want to fight Cortana. So I think that's probably another reason why they kind of told it in flashback and didn't have you kind of directly fighting her. But yeah, going back to the weapon, basically got a new Cortana now. So
Yeah, I can see people saying, well, that's kind of like a cheap way of just, having Cortana back. It's just have a copy of Cortana. I kind of thought that as well. I was like, oh yeah, it's when I saw her, I was like, yeah, this is Cortana. I knew from the beginning, and you obviously like Chief didn't really trust her and stuff, and they sort of had to build that sort of relationship together through their adventures. And obviously, when she found out she was a clone of Cortana or a copy of Cortana, kind of it's hard to display emotions when Chief is just a helmet, you know what I mean? So other characters have got to sort of convey those emotions through words, and obviously Chief doesn't speak that much, especially in Halo Infinite. They've dialed down Chief's not involvement, obviously his dialogue back a lot, because in 4 and 5 he spoke quite a lot. I'm like, oh, Chief is talking quite a lot here. Here it's more the sort of old school Chief, where he's a man of few words, he's a man of action. But yeah, it's I quite like the fact that Chief actually was going to kill her. He activated a failsafe in her to delete her. Obviously it didn't work, but he was prepared to kill her, because obviously he didn't know if this was going to turn out to be another version of the original Cortana, like in same sort of temperament. Because
I think that was also a kind of almost like a self-preservation thing for him, but he was like, I'm not going to let myself get attached again, just do the job, delete. Oh fuck, it didn't work.
Yeah, I was surprised he did. I was like, oh, he went through it, and I was like, oh, it didn't work. She's like, you're trying to kill me. It's like, well,
that's the mission.
And then he sort of had a change of heart when she told him to, and he didn't do it. Obviously he needs her. Without her, like, Chief would have died a lot, not even just in Halo Infinite, in the game in general. They need each other, so kind of makes sense that he couldn't do it when she asked him to. But yeah, it's good, man. But I did like the addition of the pilot. He obviously has a name. He gives the name at the end,
like the pilot,
which his name is something. Is not Rodriguez or something like that. God, what was his name?
Fernando something, I think.
Yeah, Fernando something. But he goes.
I finished it ages ago. I've forgotten already.
I mean, I finished it like 2 weeks ago, and I've forgotten his name. But he was good, man. Like
Fernando Esparza.
Esparza. He was good. He was a coward. He ran away, which obviously, hey man, like when
he wasn't even a pilot, he was a mechanic.
Oh, he was a mechanic, yeah. And when it went south on the Infinite,
when shit got real, yeah,
he ran, and you don't blame him, to be honest. There's nothing wrong with that.
He's just a dude.
He's just a mechanic, man. He's just probably like he's not a soldier. He's a mechanic who probably got like hired to do some work on. He's like a contractor, man. To do some work on the Infinite. He thought it was going to be an easy job, but yeah, it's He ran, and he sort of hates himself for what he did. He sort of abandoned everyone, and he's got like a real hate complex going on about himself. But obviously he redeems himself, and plus he gets captured and tortured. But Chief, he ain't gonna let anyone die. Well, he does let people die, but if you kind of care, if you can help it, he went back to him, and then you fight. Who do you fight? Not Atriox.
Jaeger. And then it's Escharum.
And he was a tough battle, because you're stuck in an enclosed area, and he has 3 stages of 3 or 4, is it?
And he hits very, very hard.
When he gets the hammer out, the gravity hammer, you're like, oh shit.
He can jump like 40 feet and hit you with the damn hammer.
Yeah, that was a tough fight. Obviously, you got to use all your tools, and obviously I just kept using the bloody grappling hook to maneuver my way around. Yeah, that was very, very challenging. It makes you think. It's like, obviously, like, with previous like enemies, you just shoot until they're dead. But with these sort of boss encounters, you can't do that. You gotta shoot, but you also got to,
Gotta make sure you're not dead.
yeah, because you can die very quickly. So,
What did you think of Escharum as a character?
I don't know. It's there's not much to these enemies. Their main goal is they hate humanity. That's all that really is. They do. It's just like everything they're about. It's just like I hate humanity. Or you're the legendary Spartan. You're the demon. Oh, come to me, demon. I want to challenge. Blah blah blah. So there's not much. I can't say he's a good like villain. Not really. It's just like, oh, it's another alien. He's another brood that wants to kill all of humanity and wipe us out. It's been done like with the Covenant, obviously. Like, I thought Taurus was probably a better villain than him, maybe because he was the first time he encountered the brutes. But he did have, there were some interactions with him and his other cohorts. They were quite like, they obviously like, he cares about his troops under him, and he even has an elite as his best friend, given that the rivalry between them. But there was respect there. But it's hard to do a compelling villain. I thought Cortana made more of a compelling villain, and obviously because there's a history there, than he did. It's very difficult. Like, he's like, oh, I just hate humanity. I want to kill you. I was like, okay, cool, fair enough. But the motivation was that Cortana destroyed his world. But even before that, they still wanted to just kill all humanity, and like they were disassociated from the Covenant. But yeah, what about yourself, man? Like, how do you feel? Because
I liked Escharum quite a lot. I think they did a fair amount to humanize him. Sounds weird because he's not human. But his motivation is basically he's an aging warlord who wants to have his last climactic battle against another legendary warrior, basically, is his whole deal. But he was Atriox's mentor, basically. So he has a lot of pride built up in the Banished, and how the Banished kind of separated from the Covenant and became a galactic force themselves. So again, like, he has a lot of pride in the people below him and his Spartan killers and everything. But I think it helps. I don't think he was massively like fleshed out, but I think they did enough to make him reasonably compelling. But I think it also helps that he was voiced by Darren DePaul, who's a really damn good voice actor. I think his performance as Escharum was really good. But he's been in like Warcraft and stuff for years. He's Reinhardt in Overwatch. Darren DePaul. He was the main bad guy in Final Fantasy 15. He's been in tons of stuff, and he's just a really versatile voice actor. I think he did a fantastic job bringing that character to life. So I think that's probably half of it. Just that I really like Darren DePaul. But yeah, I think they did a decent job with him. Again, it was just like the motivation was literally, I'm getting old and I want to go out in style. So fair play to him. He certainly went out in style.
He went, and I did like the moment where he gets back up again. I was like, oh, here we go. He's getting back up again. And he sort of dies in Chief's arms. And I was like, that's quite a touching moment. There was a mutual respect there.
Warrior to warrior.
Yeah, there was a mutual respect. And I think he was disappointed when he beat Chief not like you had control over Chief in the beginning of the game. Where
that was Atriox in the beginning.
Oh, it was, isn't it? Shit. But he's still alive though, Atriox. He'll be making a comeback. Spoilers. Even though he's still alive though, man. But
watch after the credits and you'll find that out.
Yeah, but I think like they were kind of like, I did like the fact that they mocked Master Chief for like being beaten so easily. They were like, oh, he's not much of a legend, and obviously each time he progresses, they're just like, oh God, come to me, Chief. Oh, you're the legend, are you? I was like, yeah, I am, man. I am the legend. He's like, come, legend to legend. I did like the respect, and the ramp up and the music was so good.
The music is, we haven't mentioned the music. The music throughout the whole game is fantastic.
Especially like when it starts ramping up near the end and you get into like these final battles, it's just like, oh my God, music is getting so good. And like when like you did go into boss encounters and like, come to me then, Spartan, show me the legend. And then Weapon was like, well, he wants to see a legend. You show him a legend. I was like, hell yeah. I was
Yeah,
like, let's
I
go.
got this.
I got this. And then I died. I was like, oh, I ain't got this. These guys are a bit too hard. I got to use my brain, man. But yeah, that was that moment. I was just like, start getting pumped. I was like, yeah, here we go. There we go. Come on. Let's go. Let's
Come
go.
on, I'm dead.
Yeah. And I was like, oh shit, I'm dead. Then I come back. I was like, let's go. But yeah, there's great moments,
Respawn,
man.
motherfucker.
Yeah, there's great moments in that, and it was a celebration of just Halo. Weapons, vehicles felt good, even though I think like the tank, the Scorpion, kind of like was made from paper. You know, the bit where you're going to the proving grounds and you got to make your way through like this just absolute shit ton of enemies. They throw everything at you, and you just got to make your way.
Like, it's almost like a wave-based survival mode in the campaign.
I was just like, oh my god, like you got to use every tool, every weapon, every vehicle in your disposal to get sort of make through that sort of gauntlet. And I was like, I got the tank, and I was like, oh, I'm dead. It just blew up. There was wraiths everywhere. There was cannons. There's like drop ships and stuff. I was like, holy moly, I got to inch my way forward here. But
all the vehicles in the campaign honestly feel like they're made of paper mache. Like you get to the point where you've unlocked everything at the FOBs, and you get a wasp as like the final unlock, and you think, oh, brilliant! I can just fly around the map now, and you fly around like 2 shots, and you explode to a fiery ball of death in the air. Okay, great.
Yeah,
so,
I mean,
they have to be balanced a bit, I guess.
Yeah,
they can't just make them super OP, but they feel a little bit underbalanced.
I mean, I did like discovering like certain like more of the story. I kind of like wanted to find out what happened, because to the rest of the Spartans, you find out that they were all hunted by the Spartan killers and stuff like that. They were like holding out and just sort of like fighting for their lives. You do encounter a couple of Spartans, dead ones, and obviously the one in the beginning where you learn about like Spartan cores, and then you get one of the ones where you have to rescue them, and then it turns out he's dead. He dies. But I kind of like that, because it kind of put more sort of like danger to the banished, and especially Spartan killers, that you're like, wow, these guys can just take out Spartans really easily. I know Halo Wars 2, when they first encountered the Spartans, they sort of ripped through them. I think it was Atriox that ripped through them quite easily. Yeah. And you're like, wow, this is deeming business.
Just dominated red team.
So yeah, like, and these newer Spartans are not as, they're sort of mass produced Spartans, so they're not as good as the original Spartan 3s. But yeah, they still made their way through them, and I kind of wanted to find out what happened to Osiris. So they kind of like just went in the game. So I don't know what happened to them. Some theories said that they were killed by the Spartan killers, because apparently you can see like what's his name? What's the leader of the Osiris? Locks, the piece of his helmet on one of the Spartan killers. And apparently that's what they are. Because I read up afterwards. I was like, where were they? I was like, oh, like apparently his helmet or a piece of his armor can be seen.
Yeah, there was a leak of action figures before the game, like months before the game came out, of that brute character, and with Locke's helmet on his. It was like a shoulder pad or something. I can't remember now. And people were like, "Oh my god, Locke's dead!" And like Brian Gerard at 343 was like, "Maybe not."
Maybe,
so they're being ambiguous about it. So
I'd like to see what happened to Palmer. She just sort of didn't do much in any of the 2 games, and then I don't think she was
in one cutscene in Halo 5.
I don't even think she was mentioned in Infinite. So, like Lasky somewhere,
she is mentioned in some audio logs, as far as I can remember. But
I might not have.
I don't think you actually hear her speak at any point.
I mean,
Lasky's in a bunch of audio logs.
Yeah, I don't think he's dead. I don't think that's been confirmed. So Halsey's,
I think they basically left the whole Infinity crew literally up to like to a mystery. I don't think we know what happened to any of them.
Yeah,
or Blue Team either.
So Halsey's still I think, obviously don't know if she's dead. So I reckon they're going to release some sort of DLC for the game. I'm 100% sure they will, to sort of flesh out more of the story and see what happened to certain key characters if they're still alive.
Well, they've said it's a 10-year platform, haven't they? So I'd imagine there'll be story DLC or new campaigns or what have you. They haven't put out a roadmap yet, so we don't know what the plan is. But I'm hoping it'd be cool if just like every year you get like a 5-6 hour campaign thrown in there, like a side story or just continuing the story or whatever. I guess we'll have to wait and see.
I wouldn't be sad if they killed off certain characters. It would kind of make it more emotional if they did kill off some well-known characters. If they killed off some of the original Spartans, like Kelly and stuff like that, it would be quite interesting if they did that. Locke, if they did, no, fair enough. If they give him a heroic death, or if they didn't, I'm not too bothered.
If they actually want to hit people, they'll kill Buck.
Yeah, just because he's voiced by Nathan Fillion, that's the thing, isn't it? So,
but, I mean, he's a fan favorite.
Yeah.
If they actually want to hit people in the fields, that's what they'll do. So hopefully they don't, because I like Buck. I don't want to see him get killed. Kill off Locke, nobody cares.
But like another thing, I kind of like with being stuck on the Halo, you don't get that sort of like terrain variation. Like obviously, if you fought in Earth, you get to fight on the you get to fight in cities, or if you fought on a Covenant like battleship or something like that, or on one of their homeworlds, you get that variation. So there was kind of like a limited like sort of.
There's only one biome basically, Pacific Northwest biome. But I mean, we've had like desert areas and snowy areas on Halos and on the Ark before, so they could do more biomes on Zeta Halo. But I think it's just they were kind of going so hard for the Halo CE callback, and that and the fact that the game had to be delayed for a year, and you get the feeling that it got kind of shuffled about a bit because like Joseph Staten came in quite late, and I get the feeling he kind of rejigged the campaign a bit in his time there. So I'd imagine some stuff maybe not got cut but got rescoped, and it just kind of like, okay, well, we need to focus on this one biome, and then maybe in DLC or expansions or whatever we get to see more of the ring. And like Halo CE was almost entirely on the ring, and we had like those Pacific Northwest fir tree areas, we had sort of deserty areas, we had snowy areas, we had a swamp. So all those areas can exist on one ring. So I think we'll probably see them in extra content that comes later.
Yeah, I mean, like on Halo 2, you get to go through these sort of like ruins, like they look like temples and stuff.
Which Cortana specifically says they don't seem to be Forerunner.
Maybe they're the Boundless. Maybe fuck knows what these people are.
the Endless. But
well,
no, I think the
Endless, Boundless, whatever, man.
I think the implication was that they were human structures. But they'd kind of never really delved into it.
Yeah, I still like want to find out like the humans like role. Like we were supposed to be super advanced and one of the dominant species, and still not really got into that yet. Like, well, they're like the didact and stuff in Halo 4 mentioned stuff like that, and it's obviously been mentioned in other games and other media. But I kind of like want to see like it'll be interesting to. I know we got reverted back, but if they can, the Endless could be like kept in cryo or in a prison. There must be like a proto-human that is out there. That would be so cool if there was. Do you know what I mean? Like they were like, oh, this is how we were before. It comes out.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, like, why not?
And almost all of that stuff in Halo 4 was in the terminals, which most people probably didn't see, which probably contributed to a lot of people being confused by that story. Because without the terminals, literally all you have is one cutscene with the librarian explaining things, and it otherwise comes out of nowhere. Whereas I read the Greg Bear books before Halo 4 came out, or the first one anyway, and in that they literally like spell out, oh, humanity had an interstellar empire that was almost the rival of the Forerunners 100,000 years ago. And I read that, I was like, what? And then in Halo 4, I was like really excited to delve into it, and it's literally all in the terminals. So if you miss the terminals, you're kind of screwed. But yeah, I think there was a lot of pushback against that stuff as well. So I think they'll probably steer clear of all that as well, unfortunately, because they tried it in the past and didn't execute it particularly well, and now it's kind of almost poisoned the well to an extent.
Mm-hmm.
But the Endless, I am quite excited about because, obviously, as I say, I read all the novels and everything. I've been into the Halo story and the lore for 20 years at this point. Spent years like discussing it on forums and trying to piece together fan theories and everything, and like who really are the Forerunners? Where did the Flood come from? What is a Reclaimer? What is the link between humanity and Forerunner? All that stuff's been answered now. So, kind of, if you're going to continue the series, you either have to answer that stuff or you have to just keep stringing people along and not answer it. And then either way, you're going to piss someone off. So they answered a lot of that in 4 and 5, pissed a lot of people off, but they've set up a new mystery now, the Endless, which I'm quite excited for, because here we've got a species we never knew about that somehow survived the firing of the Halo array, and that excites me as a lore nerd. So I'm excited to see what they're all about and how they tie into the greater Halo mythos, and whether they're linked to the proto-Forerunners, as you might call them, the precursors, who supposedly created the Forerunners and humanity.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of
There's a lot to dig into.
Yeah,
There's literally like millions of years of fucking Halo lore, most of it uncovered at this point.
But yeah, man, I think we're gonna wrap it up there because we'll be going for quite a bit. So, any last thing you want to say? Is there anything we missed, like in terms of story?
Don't think so. I think we covered the main things. Obviously, like the main things are going to be how they handled the going into Infinite from 5, which, you know, some people are going to think they fumbled it a bit. I think they did about as best they could. The Endless being the new threat, maybe going forward. The mystery around who they are. That's what I'm mostly looking forward to.
Yeah, can I just say, like the last boss, what was the name of the
Harbinger?
Original name there. Yeah, that boss battle was a bit annoying as well because she teleports a lot. And I was like,
that's hard.
And she fires like energy projectiles at you that sort of track you, and you got like the bloody, you got enemies like coming in and attacking you as well. So I found that quite challenging and quite annoying that battle, but it was satisfying.
Luckily, if you kill all the banished, they don't respawn.
Yeah,
you can just clear all them out first. Yeah, but it's still very hard.
Yeah, because she fights you in like you knock her down, and obviously you attack her, then she gets back up. I think that's like 3 stages of that, and then more enemies come out. But yeah, you got to use your grappling hook, use your thrusters to sort of maneuver away from her. But yeah, it's a tough like battle. But why did she hate you? She's just like every new alien you fucking encounter just hates you. And it's like, oh man, I know, like, because I get it. Like humanity was such a big, like, powerful force. There's some built-in hate between them. But I'm just like, why? Why like hate us and not hate the Covenant or the the Banished or whatever? You know, why are they always like teaming up with them? The only alien species that didn't were the Flood. You know, so
well, I mean, they were certainly happy enough to turn people into mindless zombies and try and take over the galaxy.
Yeah, I mean, but I'm just like, why? Like, has every new alien species or whatever, you know, like factions just automatically just hate humanity? Can we not find Earth-friendly bloody alien race that want to help us instead of fighting us all the time? Because I'm like, oh yeah, we're gonna fight them, and we're gonna fight the Banished as well. They're gonna team up, or we could have like a freeway, which I probably would prefer, because they were getting Atriox, what's his name? The brute leader, what's his name? Escharon was getting annoyed with Harbinger in near the end, and I think they were actually going to like double cross her, or she was going to double cross them. So I wouldn't mind if there is a freeway battle between us and humanity, the boundless, the Banished, Endless, and
But yeah, I mean, like, I think when you first meet the Harbinger, she says to Chief like, "We're not enemies," but it's just that Chief kind of keeps interfering with whatever she's planning. But yeah, obviously her race have a lot of hatred for the Forerunners, and it's possible they just see humanity as like an extension of the Forerunners in a sense. But yeah, she did say we're not enemies when you first meet, and then you just keep screwing with her plan. So she's like, okay, time to try and kill this green guy, which did not go well for her.
Yeah, and then she teams up with our enemy, so that kind of like makes her. Chief is like, well, you are working with the banished, so you kind of right to assume that, because like the banish's goal is to wipe out every human on that ring.
Yeah, but then we don't know what her plan is. She's clearly using them for whatever her plan is, but we don't know what that is.
She could have just spoken to like Chief and go, hey, this is my plan. Let's talk about this. But I think overall we had a good time with Halo and Infinite, and I'm looking forward to the story content that they add, and looking forward to when they add multiplayer, because they didn't have multiplayer in day one.
You mean co-op?
Co-op, sorry. Yeah. They did have multiplayer.
I was very confused for a second.
Yeah, sorry, I got confused.
I've been playing the multiplayer every night. Oh, right.
The multiplayer is free. I mean, co-op. So I can't wait to them to add co-op. So maybe
that'll be really fun in co-op. Yeah. I can see why they had to delay it, given like the size of the world and everything, and like it's kind of a new challenge for them, given that you could probably be anywhere in the world. And I kind of think back to when we played State of Decay in co-op, and it's like you're kind of tethered, so you can't go too far from one another. Mm-hmm. So I'm kind of thinking it's probably something on some kind of networking issue they've got to work through with that. But this game is going to be stupid fun in co-op. I'm really excited to play it in co-op.
Mm-hmm. Cool. But yeah, thanks for listening, guys. And we're available on most podcast platforms. We can also watch the audio version on YouTube. You can check out our Twitter page at Game with Chums, our YouTube channel, Game with Chums, Instagram, again, A Game with Chums, Twitter.
I'm sensing a pattern here.
Game with Chums. All the links will be provided in the video and in the audio version on Spotify. Yeah, but thanks for listening, guys. Hope you enjoyed, and come back again, and hopefully we'll talk about other things. But yeah, say goodbye.
Bye.